Aloha, good morning, good Sunday to y'all, and happy to be here. Office hours with Dr. Drake, and answering your Korean natural farming questions live here on YouTube, Sundays, 9 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. It is a beautiful, rainy, super rainy day outside in Hawaii. There's a little stream formed in my yard between the office and this house, and yeah, it's a great day to be out farming. All the ava that I planted, the Hawaiian kava that I planted this past week, getting all this nourishment from the heavens coming down, raining, giving it life. So I just want to thank you guys all for tuning in here this morning, being here, and wanted to start off today with as per usual, little bit of I Ching. And today's hexagram is... Ooh, and I gotta keep my phone up because it's running off my mobile hotspot, and it's going today. So hopefully all this is gonna work good. But so today's hexagram is after completion, and it says, "Good fortune unfolds for those who remain on guard against inferior elements or influences." This hexagram indicates that a movement from chaos to order is complete. This time is extremely favorable, and you are likely to enjoy much success as long as you heed the warning of Chi. Remain on guard against incorrect thoughts, attitudes, and actions, both in yourself and in others. We arrive at a beneficial situation by following the path of correct conduct. When we have achieved success or are close to it, it is in our nature to want to relax and allow the ego to bask in glory. If you resort to this sort of carelessness now, you will undo all that you have worked to build. It is important not to become indifferent to spiritual details at this time. If a thought or action even borders on incorrectness, discard it and return to the path of the sage immediately. 1 minute, we dip our toe in incorrectness. The next minute, we're swimming in it. And the next, we drown. Therefore, it's wiser to simply keep our toes dry in the first place. You're also counseled to remain alert to inferior influences in others. You can only prevent misfortunes by anticipating them in advance, and this is achieved through watchfulness. The image of Chi is that of a kettle of water boiling over a fire. There is great power here, but it is lost if one allows the water to boil over or evaporate through carelessness or indifference. Alertness and conscientious adherence to what is correct is called for if you wish to prolong your good fortune now. So hopefully this is coming through okay. I think as I put my phone back over there, I think the connection is going to improve a little bit. I'm watching the thing come back up to some reasonable speeds here. And I just before I get started here, I just what could be better than before completion, making sure we're all staying on point. And last week was nourishment, and I just want to acknowledge the sponsors of this program. So last week we had a just amazing outpouring of folks kicking down on the super chat there, and kicking down. We got GoPro, Stonemason 7767 coming in from Indiana, I think. Eyewitness, and he had that for the joke that I had, I think, about before you make WCA, just shoot your gun a few times and then your neighbors will be super suspicious when you light those bones on fire. Cheryl coming in from Idaho with this sweet sticker. Thanks for the donation. Mike Spangler, Natural Mystic Grower. and Shaman King coming in. And I just want to thank all you folks for helping this happen, taking time out of my day, taking time out of your day, making sure this is the highest quality show coming through. And of course, I want to thank the Pure KNF Foundation for also and making this happen. And right here in the center, there was this interesting comment that I pulled out of the chat from last week where Val was talking about, see, families are affected when we act like a family. And a family that we built here that we're all participating in could be the future of the world, because when we culture's better, the planet gets healthier, the water's cleaner, the air smells better. Bringing livestock into our lives, bringing better produce, higher microbial value, more nutrient density. All this is the family that you and I are cultivating right here, right now. Besides just sharing information, it's about putting this into practice. And so I just wanted to share on this sponsor's image here. You see this, this jet laying down. I think it's fire retardant over a fire, and it's right on these people's houses. But imagine if this jet was this was IMO 4, and prior to these forest fires, this jet was laying down all this IMO 4 onto the forest and regenerating it. And the forest was holding so much moisture in the soil because those microbes were pulling the moisture out of the air and storing it in the soil. And the trees weren't drying out as much. And they were, they weren't dying off from disease and bugs and beetles and all these things. But this solution here where we get to the level of, imagine we get enough contributions, to natural farming, to people doing the right things, that we can actually heal the earth and stave off, climate change by putting the microbes there, which are the little tiny bits that promote climate stability. So I can't talk enough about this. And if I had millions or billions or trillions of dollars, or even if I don't have that, nothing's going to stop me from my mission of spreading these ideas, from putting it into personal practice, from enriching my neighborhood, from making you guys as akamai, as smart as you can be, getting you these answers so you can spread this around the world. So just want to thank everyone who supports this show and makes this possible. And this is the dream. This is the ideal. Like, if we really get this going, we scale this up. Why not get jets to drop IMOs all over our forest and bring our earth back to life in record time? And I think the amount of IMOs would offset the carbon that's coming out of here and the pollutions this jet's containing. That's why I put a microbe sprayer in my car. So each time I'm burning fossil fuels, I'm actually restoring and regenerating the environment as well. So anyway, just wanted to thank the sponsors, put that idea out there. The more that comes in, the more that goes out, the more we can work together. And I did pop out the chat here. There it is. Oh, what? And there's already donations this time. You guys, I wasn't even looking at the chat. I was looking at my other screen here, and you guys are just amazing. And Stonemason is in Indiana. So, love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Oklahoma, GrowPro, man. Thanks. You've been solid on here. Coming in from Tanzania, East Africa. The worldwide family from, Julia from Finland actually made it negative. Oh gosh, that's cold. Negative 17C. And so, I'm glad you guys are back and well, and everyone's checking in from around the world. And Julia's starting her IMO. It's going to be gnarly and negative 17C. And before, wow, this is beautiful worldwide community coming in here. We can hemp loving wellness option for microdosing time healthier. So, and even microdosing on the IMO. You notice how my cap's a little moldy here. If you look under the brim, I actually put my IMO 4 from my pig pen up there. So, if you think of microdosing, getting into those things, those types of things, it's amazing. So, so I'm glad to help you guys out. Glad to spread the joy here. before I jump into this week's questions in this live, I did want to talk because people have been emailing me, and I've been getting like when you start to advertise your email, you get a ton of emails all at once, and which is good. Send me emails. It's Drake, DRAKE at pure KNF. That's PUREKNF.org. If you want a question answered, that way I can bring it up on this chat. But I did have two questions that I wanted to dive into first. The first was, guy was asking me, I can't recall his name right now because I didn't put it in the chat, but he was asking me, okay, how do we collect IMOs in the desert and in arid climates? And I've answered this a bunch of times. I told him, go check out the Microbial Secret Society, which is at microbialsecret.org, which is a podcast I did. And between myself and Sam Bevins, who is in Israel, pretty down in the desert parts of it. And so he was collecting microorganisms there. And he lived out there for about a year or so and was doing all kinds of things, and he may be back now. I'm not sure. He did spend I think the summer in Maine, in America, the state of Maine. But what I want to so to answer the question, you can go to those. I know, I'm certain we talked about it. It may be in the premium part of the episode, which you gotta purchase. But again, that supports me, gets more IMOs out in the world. But so if you're in the desert, what do you do? Okay. And more of the planet each year is getting to turn into a desert. So if it's arid and now there's not a rich humus layer, there's no leaves falling that are aggregating on the ground. You don't have access to a forest nearby. What do? Well, go to the nearest place where you do have a little bit of that happening, maybe under a shrubbery or something. Even if you look at it, the desert gets a sort of what do you call, like film? Like a crust on it. So when you're walking in the desert, that's why, like when you visit Grand Canyon National Park in America, they always tell you to walk on the trails, because walking off the trail and just thinking, oh, it's just sand, you're going to damage the microbes that are in this very thin layer right on the top of the sand. And they create this layer to help them retain moisture and everything under the sand, everything in these arid climates where your soil is very thin and there's not much water retention. There are microbes in that top layer. Now, if you take those microbes and you collect them through the IMO process, where you set out some starch, collect them, then bulk them up with another substrate and build them up, and then spread them back out, you will restore and bring that back so they can start to break that system down, because they're already living there. So educating them, giving them better food, helping them out, feeding them, amplify what's naturally happening. And naturally, the earth wants to go back to a forest. Naturally, the earth wants to go back to thriving, living, retaining moisture. Oh, it looks like my internet just dropped out. Let me double check this. Oh no, it's coming back. Is it? Oh, is it? Oh, it should have. Man, it's raining so hard here right now. I don't know if you guys can even hear that through the deal. It's still on. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, okay. It looks like it's back. Who knows? Don't worry about it, maybe. And I will upload the video of this for the replay from the one I'm recording locally. So hopefully if there's any skips, it'll come back. So back to IMOs in the desert. Go to the area you're going to collect. Try to look for the richest area you can find where there's enough stuff, organic material starting to go. You don't have to worry about finding the mycelia, those things. You just have to find that crusty stuff. Now, go make a tank of maintenance solution. So that's your KNF food, cleanser, medicine, and structure. And all those recipes are in my recipe book. They're on KNF support. You can also find those recipes all over the internet, and make that up. So dilute those. The food and the cleanser are diluted 1 to 500. The structure and the medicine are diluted 1 to 1,000. Mix that in water. Mix up about a gallon 2 gallons of this stuff. Get a fine mist sprayer and spray a 10-foot perimeter and the area you want to collect. Spray it down, put that mist out there. What that's going to do is all those microbes that are already there, they're going to rejoice that they get this extra food, they get this biostimulant. Do that same thing of spraying for the next 3 to 5 days. Spray it. All that biological activity comes to life. You stimulate this area. Then set your rice collection box, or whatever starch you use, collection box in that area. Do not spray the stuff anymore. Okay? And what's going to happen, and you might want to cook your rice a bit more moist. Typically, I use like 4 cups of rice and 3.75 cups of water. So I cook my rice a little dry. You may want to cook it where you use 4 cups of rice and 4.25 cups of water. So a little bit more water than rice. So your rice is a little moist because the desert is so dry. But do not spray the maintenance spray anymore once you've set your box, because now that you've stimulated that 10-foot perimeter, that 10-foot area, all that biological activity is going to be, all those microbes are going to be super active. And the only moisture source now is going to be your rice. So all those microbes that you just activated around for the last 3 to 5 days of spraying, they're going to be hungry and more active, and they're going to go and translocate themselves into your rice. Okay, so into your starch. So that is the way to do IMO collection in the desert. You start to stimulate the area ahead of time, then you set your rice box with no more water, and all those microbes need to live, need to come in, and need to like make themselves a home. So they're going to come into your rice. So that's the best way to do it in an arid condition. Okay, so want to put that out there again. I've talked about it a lot of times, but saying it this way, giving you this idea, like stimulate the idea, bring them to life, give them water, but then only let them have the water from your rice, and you'll collect a whole bunch of microbes. You'll have a great collection, and that's the way, directly from Master Cho. I'm not just making this stuff up. He has been super successful in the Gobi Desert. And with the Gobi Desert is in Mongolia, and it's one of the driest places on Earth. Whereas it's kind of funny because I live in the wettest place on Earth, wettest town on Earth. So I have that knowledge from him. The other thing he was doing, which gets me in my second question, which is a couple folks were asking me, what can I do for my lawn? Right. And so many of us in the, God bless us that we actually have lawns and have areas where we can just mow grass versus, it's kind of a sign of richness that you have a lawn. But so many people each year go through lawn care, especially in the spring. Things come, your lawn, you want it to grow nice, you want it to be better than your neighbors. So the answer I wanted to get to is biochar, but I'm going to divulge quickly into one quick story. And this is how the In Search of Balance movie, the documentary on Korean natural farming, was filmed. Was that on Maui, in Kihei, where it's really dry and arid. It's on the dry side of the Maui island. And there was the well or something broke, and there was a restriction on the amount of water people could apply to their lawns. And so they told them, you can't water your lawn. And so the guy that's the movie producer of In Search of Balance lives in Los Angeles, as well as he has a house on Maui. And he comes back to Maui to visit his house, and his grass is green, super green. And all his neighbor's grass is brown. And he goes to his landscape people, and he's like, what are you doing watering my lawn? Like, why are you watering my lawn? You're making me look bad. Like, everyone else isn't, and you guys are doing this. And they said, no, we didn't water your lawn. We didn't. What we're doing is we're using Korean natural farming. We're putting these microbes into the soil, And the microbes are what is bringing your lawn to life, is keeping the moisture there, is making it thrive even though there's no water. So from that, he then started to investigate, well, what is this Korean natural farming? What are you talking about? And they ended up bringing a whole film crew here to Hawaii. They even went to Korea to go visit Master Cho, and they made the documentary on a lot of popular services called In Search of Balance. And it's a little, it tells you about the indigenous microbes, and Daphne Miller, my good friend who came here, talked all about it and tried to investigate, well, what is this stuff? What is Korean natural farming? And they made a great movie on that. So again, lawn care, IMOs, Korean natural farming, these things. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, especially like my sister lives in Colorado, right? It's super dry there. Plus there's water restrictions. You don't want to be watering your lawn all the time. It's, like you don't, arid place. So what I recommended to her, I said, hey, go to your store, look for natural charcoal, or go to your garden store and look for biochar. Okay. Take that natural charcoal, crush it with a hammer to make it a fine dust. Take your biochar, maybe it's already powdered, smash it as small as you can. Take that stuff. Now soak it in a solution of KNF fuel, which is your fish amino acid, plus some IMO1 that you collect. Or one or two, I just call both those seed IMO. So take those, put them in water with your biochar. How much should you dilute it? It really, it depends on you, but the fuel should be diluted about 1 to 500, and the IMO should also be diluted about 1 to 500, meaning, so if I did a 5-gallon bucket, I'd add a cup of seed IMO because it's kind of goopy, and I'd add in, 8 milliliters, per gallon. So 40 milliliters into a 5-gallon bucket of fuel. So add those in, I'm saying KNF fuel, not gasoline or anything like that, but KNF fuel plus your IMOs. Soak that biochar, soak it so that it all absorbs that. Now take that biochar that's soaked in this stuff and then broadcast it into your yard. That's going to solve a couple problems. One, it's going to give those microbes, and soak it for like 2 days or so. And then broadcast it out. You can broadcast it out wet or dry, it doesn't matter. The microbes will make a home inside that char. They will also, that fuel will give them the energy they need to start to build homes in that char. Now, when you broadcast it out, if the microbes run out of food or water, they'll go into the char. That char will help your grass retain the moisture. Anytime it gets wet, anytime you water, they're going to retain the moisture in that biochar. That is how Master Cho was able to grow trees in the Gobi Desert. Biochar. They bring the water in, they put it in there, they do their thing in the ground. This is like a huge secret. So take that char, put it out into your yard. How much should you broadcast? Imagine you're broadcast it kind of thin. I think the recommended rate, with dry biochar, it's about 2 pounds per 100 square feet. However, once you make it wet, it's not going to, the weight ratio isn't going to be good for you to measure. But essentially, what is that? It's like a pail, like that big of biochar per 100 square feet. So, sorry, I'm not very better on the calculations here, but a 5-gallon bucket's going to cover, what is that? Like, I don't know, like 200, 300 square feet, 400, maybe 500 square feet. It depends how much you want to broadcast it. And if you broadcast it out, it didn't do as well as you wanted, put more. And the way to do it is every year, put out about a third of what you entirely want to have out there. And so I wish I had a very specific, precise recommendation. Maybe I should do a little bit more calculations. I just did soil foundation here as a, for lawn care, and I just made a video on this. So that's it's in the editing room, which is this room, and it'll be out soon. But I'm trying to make these educational videos on application of how, because think of how many people have a yard in your neighborhood, and imagine all of those were biological reservoirs of good microbes. So if any virus or any pathogen comes in, they hit this wall of good guys, this sea of good guys in your yards. And everyone's yard, instead of putting out like toxic chemicals, like some of the most toxic things are put on our yards. And if we had that where everyone in your neighborhood's doing IMOs and they're watering less and they're having more moisture retention in the soil, their yards are looking better, this is where we want to head. This is what we want to do. So anyway, I want to just encourage you guys that is the way to do yard care. Take biochar, soak it with seed IMO and KNF fuel for about 2 days, and then broadcast it out. And the more the merrier, and go for that. So just want to see, it's for some reason when I click on that, it's transitioning me. But what I wanted to do is check out this new feature I got here where, yeah, look at that. So check this out. I can put comments up here. You see those things? Awesome. So Mike, what's up, Mike? Thanks for tuning in. And this is one of my classic things I love to talk about, Jesus and his miracles. And when you look at those miracles, they are so similar to what a natural farmer would be doing. Turning water into wine. Hittite wine, which was, he was in Canaan, which was the land of the Hittites, is kombucha today. So when he talks about turning water into wine, Jesus made kombucha. That's right in the natural farmer's wheelhouse. I could get more deep into that, but Jesus says he's the way, like here it is. It's like, it's the way, all these things, I think the spelling, understanding these deals and all these things, and in respect to every system out there of religion and things. But I think when you start to understand, like one of the miracles Jesus did was healing the blind, where he took some dirt, rubbed it in his hand, spit into it, and rubbed it on the blind guy's eyes. So imagine the guy was like, this is how I rationalize it. Imagine the guy was blind from a venereal disease. So for instance, his mother had some sort of venereal disease, and when he was born, it was in his eyes, like some bacteria in his eyes, and it made him blind from birth. Then when Jesus puts the dirt and spits in it and rubs it, he's activating IMO4, right? Imagine, like, this is a long stretch, right? And then he rubs it in the guy's eyes and he tells him, oh, go wash in the river. And by the time that the guy walked from where he was sitting to the river, the IMOs had gone into his eyes and ate out that bacterial infection. And when he rinsed in the river, he's adding more moisture to that system, and he rinses out this IMO, and all of a sudden he can see again. Like, I don't know. I'm not a biblical scholar. I just have a heck of a lot of faith. Walked, every time I go to Korea, I go with a bunch of Christians, and it's like miracles just continue to happen. And, but I read the I Ching when I start this, so take it for what it is. So yeah, okay. So cool. I'm glad you guys are here. Good morning from the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, you guys, I'm glad. Okay. So let's see here. I'm going to pull this question up. Is it going to go onto my screen? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So question here. Cattle sweet feed you buy from the store have antibacterial crap in it. I was thinking of making IMO3 with it. Okay. So when you go to your feed store, try not to get the stuff with, like if I was looking at chicken feeds and there's medicated chicken feed, avoid that. That means it has all kinds of wild stuff in there. You don't want to be feeding your chickens medicated feed, because and I should go through the chicken video. I always talk about this, but the process of raising chicks. The whole idea is that you want them to have strong gut flora. So it's going to keep them alive for the whole time. Same in this. You don't want this medical, like medicine stuff in there. When I go to my feed store and I look at my chicken pellet feed, the stuff I feed to my chickens, it actually has like 3 different types of like Bacillus subtilis and some other type of microbe in there that's good for the chickens. However, they only have like 3 million colony forming units or 6 billion or whatever. One handful of IMO is going to have trillions of colony forming units. So if you're worried about antibacterial crap in it and you're trying to make IMO3, I would avoid it. For animals, I suggest that you take your IMO3 plus the LAB and put it into their feed and ferment it 24 hours before you feed it to them. So that way you're getting your microbes in there versus theirs. But for making the IMO3, go with something like pedigree dog food. I don't think has any of that stuff in there. They're as bare bones as possible. It's coming straight out of the nasty systems. I mean, I don't want to be against any food producing, because everyone that's doing that is a noble person, and no matter how you're doing it, God bless you. You have a special place in my heart. So I'm not going to be a hater on that. But okay. So anyway, yeah, try to find clean stuff to start. Let's see here if this will work here. Let's see. Okay. So if stored in a refrigerator, how long can Comfrey FPJ and LAB be used if not super saturated? I live in zone 7, made in October. We'll keep it until April. Thanks. Okay. So if things are in a refrigerator, they will last many months, because there's already sugar in there. In the case of the LAB, it has a much shorter shelf life. You'll notice that if you put it under a microscope right away, you'll see a lot of rod-shaped bacteria. But the longer you sit, the more they turn into circles. And so the rod-shaped ones are the lactobacillus. The circle ones, I'm not sure if it's pleomorphically changing to something else, but lactobacillus, to be safe, unsupersaturated in the fridge, it's about a month. It can last longer than that, but you have a diminishing return, and it's probably exponential. So I can promise you 1 month for sure with microscope use. But if you do super saturate it, it'll last up to 3 months for sure in the fridge, if not longer. I have batches of LAB that are sitting by my sink that I use to do dishes. It sits out. It's been there for 4 or 5 months. I don't know. I'm slowly going through the bottle. The other day I cut my foot. It got inflamed. I took a little bit of that LAB and rubbed it onto that cut, and it ate out whatever pathogen was causing my foot to be swollen. It went in there and cleaned it out. So as many months old, I know this batch was still good in use, in practice. I didn't scope it. I didn't put it under the microscope to see how long it's going to last. So to be real clear on this answer, if you're using a KNF food for many months, there's a lot of sugar in there. So storing it in a fridge, it should last up to a year for sure. If it ever starts bubbling or really active, like when you open it, it's like, and it has a lot of gas, it's probably not going to last as long. But most likely there's already a lot of sugar in there, so storing it in the fridge should be fine for quite some time. And the LAB is much quicker in terms of how fast it goes down. And I'll just throw this one up here because Julia reached out to me about the Secret Society, ended up giving her a coupon for a month, and then now she's been a subscriber for a couple months and highly recommends the Secret Society podcast. I go deep into a lot of different things. Started out with my friend David as a host, and it was just a really fun time. So let's see here, and I hope to actually be putting up some more episodes next week. I am going to Maui, so I'm not sure if this show will happen next week. I gotta double check if I'm gonna have internet there, but I'm gonna be interviewing some of the best agriculturalists from around the state of Hawaii. So hopefully I'll have some Secret Society episodes from that. So I'm going to pull this one up from Eyewitness here, and they're saying that attempting to charcoal the bones for the first time, the bones ended up with an ash shell but seemed pretty black on the inside. Is there any way I can use that so they don't go to waste? You are correct. Okay. If you are making the bones, especially in the way I do it, where I have the two grill starters on top of each other, and I put the bones in the top and I put the charcoal in the bottom, and I light the bottom until it rocket stoves up through there, you end up with a little bit of ash on the outside of your bones. It's totally fine. Totally fine. The thing you don't want is your entire bone. Like if I take that bone and I crack it in half, you don't want the entire thing to be ashy the whole way through. If it's completely gray through, that's the one that I would discard. But if it's ashy on the outside and you crack it and it's black on the inside, like it's been 100% charred out, you did it perfectly. Okay. You will get a little ash shell, as you say here. You will get that. But as you take that, and what I do is I take those bones, put them into an old towel or an old t-shirt or something, and then hit them with a hammer. Not trying to powder them, but trying to just smash them up so I get more of that black inner part exposed. So that way when I put it into the vinegar has more access to the black inner part. So you're totally correct. If I was really fast on this computer, I would pull up a picture. In fact, let me see. I got to boot the other hard drive. I'll boot this hard drive and pull it up in a bit here. But I'll show you when we did it with Pastor Lee. I'll actually pull up these images a little bit later here in the show. It's a show now. No, in the office hour. It's not really a show. Although, I don't know what you call it. Episode, series, helping, live session. I'm glad to help you guys out. Okay. So... okay, so I'm putting this one up for my second attempt. Should the stacked grill starters be uninterrupted column, cutting off any holes of air to get in? Should I have checked them as soon as the bones and the blue smoke went away? Okay, yes. So yes. So I'm saying yes, like, there can be a little air being sucked in. Just you got to understand rocket stove technology. If you look up a rocket stove, it'll show you kind of how to make these things. And I'm just modeling off what I learned from Korea and how we did it there with Master Cho and Master Lee. And but you do want to check your bones as soon as the blue smoke goes away, because two things happen when you're making KNF structure, also known as water-soluble calcium phosphate, which rather just call it KNF structure. It's so much easier to say. Plus, then you know when to use it, right? When your plant needs structure and it needs roots, right? That's what gives your plant structure. Then you know how to use it, right? So that vocabulary, the structure. So what you want to do is, there's two things. One is, the first thing is that the fire is charring the bones. The second thing that happens is the bones themselves, sorry for putting up the middle finger there, are starting to burn. So you want the first to happen. You want to char the bones, but then you want to pull it off the fire when the blue smoke is gone, because that indicates that the charring is done, and that now the bones are starting to burn. So it's a kind of balance, because if you have bigger bones and smaller bones, the smaller bones will char faster and then they'll start to burn, and then that's how you'll get more ash, whereas the bigger ones are still charring. So if you can match your bone size as best as possible, that's going to get you some of your best ways to do this. But as soon as the blue smoke is gone, that means that they're no longer charring, and the bones themselves will actually light on fire. So oftentimes when I take the bones from my upper grill starter off and I pour them out, I'll notice that they are starting to burn a little bit, and they're starting to light on fire. So I quickly just, put those out as best as I can, and that saves them from burning and turning gray. So my hard drive booted here, and let me just find these. Oh man, there's a whole bunch of images to go through. But let me find this for you here of how we did it. Here, I got it. Okay, so let me see. I'll pull this over here and pull this one up. Oh, that's going over there. Okay, so let me transition the screen here. Oh my gosh, so much to do. But you're going to enjoy this one here. So transition this over. Okay, so if you see this video here, I'm going to play it a little bit. And this here on the left is our grill starter. And it has the bottom one with the fire going up and the top one where our bones are burning. And this smoke coming out is the bones burning. Then on the right side, we took the bones and put them in this pile of rice straw and then lit that on fire. So we did 2 different methods of burning it in Korea. And let's see here. Okay. So you can kind of see these. One was smoldering this way, and actually Master Lee said these ones came out slightly better. And then these ones over here burning that way. So let me see here. I can go back to, let's see, where's my other, and let's see here, find another photo that's worthwhile. Yeah, this one. So here again, you know, the fire coming up, you see the in the pile burning. It was much bigger. I'm going back in time here, by the way. And here's us, you know, lighting these on fire, going for that, taking a photo in front of it before we lit them on. But you can see in this picture how many bones are in this grill starter here. It's chock full, it's loaded, you know, and we filled this bottom thing with wood and it's burning up, and then this rice straw before we lit it on fire. And let me see here if I can find, let's see, day 3 here. Oh, excuse me, I gotta go over here and then see, no, let's see here, where is it at? We went back the next day to get it. We ended up doing a whole bunch of stuff there. Oh, the food was just amazing. If you ever gone to Korea, you know about it. It's our chicken pen. That's us building a compost for the chicken pen, us checking out the IMO 4. Let's see. It's our presentation stuff. You know, sunrise. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to find this in real time here, but maybe you're enjoying the pictures too. Oh, we got to meet the mayor. How's that one? Yeah. Let's see. Where were the bones? Was it the last thing we did that day? Probably. Or did we even do it that day? No, we didn't. Maybe it was even the following day. Went on a field trip. Anyway, sorry, I can't find that right now. But yeah, anyway, you can kind of see how it was done. You know what? I wanted to find if I can find them real quick here. Oh, I shouldn't do this stuff live. This is, sorry, I apologize. I'm just gonna skip this for now. Try to keep it on point and good for you guys. So the bucket and bucket, yeah. Yeah, so I just showed you a picture of it. So those, the drum and the drum method, you can do it like similar to how people do charcoal that way with a drum and drum. But it's this way of making the fire go through, it's sometimes easier too. You don't have to have this elaborate drum and a drum situation. So can folks recommend any botanicals for kids with autism? Oh, dang. Okay, that's what a question. So one thing I can tell you about the autism, and I by no means is this medical advice, but I can tell you that one of the best things is lactobacillus. That there's even scientific studies. Look it up. Lactobacillus and autism. There's medical studies on this. Oftentimes, what happens in kids with autism is they tend to have stomach issues as well. And by getting the lactobacillus into their guts, it helps to heal that. I do know a couple people personally who have made the KNF protectors. Oh, what? Oh, Huff. Oh, yeah, sweet. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the donation, Patrick here. Yeah, hey. Oh, man, I'm so glad this is a worldwide thing that people can help and make this happen and spread more IMOs and all this. But kids with autism, lactobacillus, more in their diet, get it into their bodies, have them put it on their selves to clean themselves and to get it going. There's a huge correlation between your microbiome going down and autism coming up. You know, I mean, similar to the words that you can't say, but the stuff like, you know, that kind of stuff that you can't say on YouTube anymore. It kills your microbiome, and then it causes autism and those things. So key is to put the lactobacillus back in your diet, get it into themselves, put them in an IMO bath, get the microbes back going on these kids with autism. Honestly, I mean, part of one of my theories is that your microbes are what connects you to this larger, subtle fields of things like cosmic energy, and or, you know, like when you know someone's looking at you, or you just have this connection without words and you have nonverbal communication type of thing. Folks with autism have trouble with nonverbal communication sometimes, and I think it's the microbes as these radio receivers and this whole thing that there's no scientific data on this, like, because it's something so new and most people don't understand the microbiome and all these things. It's just coming into medicine as a popular fad as we get more kombucha and things. But get the microbes back in those folks with autism, and if one thing, they'll be healthier. If not, the second, maybe their autism will be mitigated by it. So I just really encourage you, if you have those issues, get yourself with the LAB. And we got this question from Eyewitness, says, made LAB the other day, first time using raw milk, and I ended up with a milky layer at the top of my whey after super saturating and letting it sit. Was this a sign I may have extracted a bit too early? And the answer is no, not necessarily. With lactobacillus, don't be afraid to let it go a few extra days. When it forms that cork, some molds may grow on the very surface, but the cork actually keeps it anaerobic below, and the lactobacillus takes over. So you can't really let your lacto go too long. I've even left it like a month or two, and the top got all black, but then just below the cork, it was fine, and the fat was acting as a cork. I didn't actually put a cork in there, but the curds floating up formed a cork. They were fine underneath, and the lacto was fine underneath. And because lacto is so powerful, nothing can get into it, so nothing can corrupt it, really. So don't be afraid to let your lactose sit a day or two longer. You may get more whey to separate, or more curds to separate from your whey. However, I do have a caveat here, and this is, you said you used raw milk. What happens in raw milk is that usually we're using a starch water that sat out and collected the lactobacillus from the air. Raw, and then I use pasteurized milk, which has been, all the bacteria has been killed in there. So then I get a real clean lactobacillus separation. If you're using raw milk, you still got a little bacteria from the whole process because it wasn't cooked, probably wasn't pasteurized, you know, especially obviously if it's raw, it wasn't pasteurized. But so there's other things living in there besides just the lactobacillus. There's a bunch of other things that are beneficial for you that live in the live raw milk. And so you will get a little bit different types of things, and maybe you got a little bit different fats to separate because you got a little bit different bacterial colonies living in there. Don't worry, you probably got predominantly lactobacillus and or some way, you know, it'll be good, especially if it's separated. So yeah. Anyway, to answer that question, that's probably why. Raw milk, anytime I do it with raw milk, I end up having kind of interesting separation like that. Okay. Oh, looks like I'm way back on this chat. Sometimes it scrolls on me and I don't even know where I'm at. So sorry, I'm just trying to find these. Okay, coming down. Got to that. Okay, sorry. Okay. Oh, and then, yeah, I guess this is to the autism part. Folks are talking a little bit about using different cannabinoids and those things. Okay. And yeah, so Okay, and then there's a big discussion about this bucket in a bucket type of thing, and yeah, and Rahim saying look up the videos on making biochar in an incinerator. That's good stuff there. And then yeah, you guys are talking about cannabinoids. Okay, so okay, so here's a question back to the structure of how many bones and charcoal would you use, and the answer, oh wait, that did transition. Okay, is that I basically fill the upper part of the container. So I'm using more narrow grill starters. They're about that narrow. The ones we use in Korea were bigger, but fill it to the brim. Fill it to the brim, and then it's a matter of balancing how much charcoal you put. So when I'm using mine that's about that big, I fill it all the way full of bones, and then I fill it only about halfway to maybe 2/3 full of charcoal underneath. If I filled it all the way full with charcoal, I would waste the charcoal, because the bones would be done above before the charcoal burnt out below. And I'm using just like Kingsford charcoal. I mean, just because that's around, and I had some already on hand. I just got a propane grill actually, so I've only been using that charcoal now for burning bones. So it's a matter of like, putting enough wood down below to burn it. Oh man. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, see you inhale. Hopefully your cats didn't knock over your IMO. Let's see if that'll pop up here. That was kind of funny. There was a huge earthquake here in Hawaii in 2018, right when the lava went. It was about a 6 or 7, I don't know, it's huge. And all the natural farmers I know were like, not my OHN, so always secure your things and put them around, and put them out there. So let's see here, scrolling down. Oh, thank you, Stone Mason. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for the support from Indiana. Appreciate you throwing down. It's been 2 weeks in a row, man. Really appreciate donations from you, helping me get through here. Let's see. Okay. So someone's asking, are there any certified instructors in Portugal or Belgium? And I haven't trained anyone that's in that region yet. And I'm not sure if anyone else is issuing certification, and it's probably just someone's asking if it's super laggy. It probably is super laggy. I actually had to take my normal hotspot and put it into the place, because I got some folks staying here on the farm, which, by the way, did you know you can stay here on the KNF farm? You can. knffarm.com, and you can get a full farm immersion, can even get some training or figure it out so that you can get those. And I like this, that Eyewitness here got a personal testimony here on drinking the LAB. And I think this has to, with the autistic symptoms. So somehow it has to do with our microbiome and all this. So I really think that, hopefully we can help you out in this way. These probiotics are amazing. They do a lot. And then he's saying here also, even fermented plant juice, the KNF food is helping. So it's all about rebuilding your microbiome. I mean, not to say it's all about that, but I find that those symptoms are hugely related around there. Hey, yeah, all right. I'm glad Healing Earth Remediation's able to tune in. So here I got a question here. Can I make my IMO 5 beds 4 inches tall with a layer of cardboard under? I really don't want to till. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking here. Can you make your IMO 5 beds 4 inches tall with a layer? Like, if you're talking about making, like having it compost and ferment, especially since what they typically call IMO 5 is what I would call fermented mixed compost, you do need it to be thick enough for it to react. Typically, I keep my IMO 3 and 4 thinner, depending on how, like, between this height, it's about a foot to 5 inches or 4 or 5 inches, depending on how often I'm there to turn. If I'm not there to turn, I make it thinner. If I'm there to turn it a lot, I'll make it thicker. But you do need a certain critical mass to heat up, especially if you're making fermented mixed compost, because you need the critical mass to heat up to get in there. And you're saying get rid of the grass and weeds. I always recommend, building soils up versus digging down. They work better. Oh, I'm laughing at this, that the IMO is safe for meow, and then glad to hear. And then Julia's saying that her cats love OHN. It's so amazing to be farming with solutions where it's like safe for animals, safe for humans, safe for everybody, and that, you can use these as biostimulants. So, so appreciate all this testimony you guys are giving in the comments here of so much experience, not just me, but you guys too have a wealth of knowledge. So I'm glad you guys can share in the comments with each other. I'm going to jump here a little bit to a few saved questions that I had. I probably should find that burning bones picture too, but here, I did get one from Mike Spangler last week, and he's saying steps to change Florida clay to aerobic soil for medicinal hemp. It's been a challenge. One of the keys to changing your soil to be more aerobic is to let me collect my thoughts here, but is to use the KNF reproduction, which is the water-soluble calcium. Calcium, if you look at soil looseners, they have calcium in it. The other thing you want to do, even though sometimes in Florida people talk about salinity issues, is to add seawater diluted 1:30. If you dilute 1:30, you shouldn't be causing salinity issues. Also include a little bit of humic and fulvic acid, which you can buy in large totes from areas. But the calcium plus the humic acid plus the seawater plus the IMO plus the protectors, the lactobacillus, all these things, KNF, and if you practice KNF long enough, it will change your soil to be aerobic conditions. But in order of relieving soil compaction, calcium plus seawater, number one, plus the protectors, the lactic acid bacteria, plus the IMOs, and then get the maintenance solution in there so they can thrive. Want to thank you guys. Just got double donation there. Thank you. Yeah, that question, but cannot remember. That's good. I like those kind of questions. They'll come up again. I'll try to find the bones for next time, although I can't promise. Maybe I can also drop maybe a picture of the bones into the YouTube community post thing that I can figure out how to do sometimes. So anyway, there, answered that question on the relieving compaction. It's, I also drill holes and bury fish into it with IMO and biochar and compost and cinders. I'm physically augering. If you ever look at my thing, I have a thing called Screw Your Soil on my channel, but I also do it on a hardcore level with my my auger on my tractor. I've scaled it up since that video, and it's really working out well for me. And then here's a question from last week. Surf Bummer was saying, hi, my labs is all cheese. Should I extract fat from the raw milk? Look, so I've had this issue in the past 2 times. I've tried to do lactobacillus in my house. For some reason, my house is too much IMO in it. Same thing happens to me when I try to do it up by my chickens, is that there's too much IMO in the air. They kick up this dust. There's too much IMO for the LAB to outcompete the IMO. And instead of creating lactobacillus, I create yogurt. So I'm making yogurt. It's like, why is it always yogurt? But it's because there's too much other contamination from IMOs. Like maybe it's my beard. I don't know. It's something going on in there. And so go to a different spot where if I do it here in this house, this office, I always get great LAB. We always get great separation. But if I try to do it in my house, it always turns to yogurt. So if you're having problems with that, try a different area where you're collecting your lacto. Because and if you're using raw milk, I get better results with pasteurized milk because the rest of the bacteria has been cleaned out of there. So yeah, right on, Mike. I'm glad I could get to a week later here on this. And and somebody was asking what books are my favorite. I'm seeing literally a library behind you, and it's actually just part of my library. There's a whole nother back section that you can't see. What books are my favorite? I love, books by my brethren, Master Cho, but Paul Stamets, any of the Teaming with Fungi, Jeff Lowenfels, any of his books. What else? There's all kinds of great spiritual, religious books there, because I always feel that, that those are, that's what life's about, is really to, not only connect with the land, but also to enliven your spirit and build better community. Lots of books on mind control, actually, because it's important to know about that stuff, because the media is basically doing it to us all the time. And if you're not aware of it, you will be brainwashed by those folks. And then also a bunch of books on computer science and electronics. And I don't know. Sorry, it's not really my favorites. But and then, so I got a comment here. Oh yeah, hey, and I encourage you guys to link up. Someone, Eyewitness wants to link up with Mike there, living in Florida. That'd be great. As long as be good meetup. Let's see here. I'll do this and then do this to get this comment up, which hopefully that's gonna work there. Let me do this. So the Jadam wedding agent got me into making soap. I always make my own soap now. I don't even buy the stuff from the store. Always, little bit of potassium hydroxide, a little bit of water, some oil, mix that together. If you don't got the recipe, it's in the iPhone app, I believe. And always making my own soap. So let's see, I'm going to grab, just because I'm in the back of the queue here, I'm going to answer a couple more of these just so I can sort through them. And then, so Johnny last week was saying this season I'm about to start the Johnson Sioux bioreactor and convert IMO2 into IMO at the same time. When do you think I should combine the IMO3 to the bioreactor? So typically you're going to use, what I would do is after your IMO3 is complete, it's better to even make an IMO4 process, because then you get the soil in there. But if you're going to use the 3 or the 4 into your Johnson Sioux bioreactor, incorporate about 10% of it while you're building and stacking all the layers and putting the pipes and those things in. Try and make 10% of it your IMO3, and you will get amazing results, because you'll get those indigenous microbes. It's aerobic enough in there. You don't have to turn it. The Johnson Sioux bioreactor is amazing tech. And this combo of including 10% of the IMO3 when you're building it and adding all the rest of your material and layering and watering those things in, that's when you want to do it. Okay, so you'll get great results. So I want to encourage folks to do that. And then here was a question from Marcus Moncada. What is the best way to count the biodiversity amount in the microorganisms in the soil? And if you haven't looked at it, the Elaine Ingham playlist is up on my YouTube here. So I encourage you. I'm just gonna pull it up right now here. It's actually pretty darn popular. A bunch of people have been checking it out lately since I've been advertising it here. But I'm not the expert on the microscope. I use it as to help me, but really Elaine is the expert. And it is right. Why can't I find things when I'm looking for them? Let's see here. I should search for it, right? Where is it though? Let me Elaine. It's 0 results. No way. Oh, you know why? It's on the next page. There it is. Okay. Let's go here and transition this to my screen. Oh yeah. Okay. So if you don't know this lecture right here, it's Elaine Ingham, Common Ground 2012 Soil Food Web. If you search for that on YouTube, it'll pull it up. It's a playlist that I made from a video series. And if you're curious about counting the soil, microbes and all that, these last 2 lectures here, 5.1, 5.2, these go into like Elaine right here sitting with us, going through the microscope, showing it up on the screen. This is, there's a protozoa, there's some fungus. And if you're curious how Chris Trump learned this, that's him right there in the Geico shirt sitting right next to Elaine. So they, here it is of us learning all this stuff, and she's the expert on all this. So if you want to learn how to count, it's right there. And okay, good, getting through some of those. I got a few more. How much more do I have? Geez, a bunch. Yeah, and then also I answered this question already from Mike about the seawater to change it from anaerobic to aerobic. And Marcus here is also asking, he's seen gnats attracted to his piles. Do you think too much moisture? Your moisture level should be 60% moisture content. If you're wetter than that, it can attract things. But also you should put a straw cover over your IMOs when you're making them. That'll help absorb any excess moisture, keep those things, keep those gnats, keep those bugs down. And yeah, so, and one last question here again from Mike. Oh, great. You're on it with the questions. Happy to help you out in Florida. Can we do the OHN extraction with water only? No, thank you. Alcohol. Can we extract and the ginger, I can't say those words, of our OHN extraction with water to make a beverage? And the answer is, unfortunately, it's no. And let me pull this up here. Am I still sharing my screen? No. Let me transition back to this. But if I search here for OHN and look, so on knfsupport.com, which is where you can find all these reports under office hours right here. But if I search here for OHN and folks like this one here, where this guy's looking for halal, which is like, what do you call, like religious exemptions for making the oriental herbal nutrient. And then here again, this guy was also asking a similar question. So I'm just going to show you. It says, like the answer is no. You have to tincture, you have to use alcohol greater than 35%. There's 3 different types of ways to tincture. There's a water extraction, there's a fat extraction, and there's an alcohol extraction. And all of those extract out different compounds. And you have to use alcohol because alcohol is also, as I specify down here, it is also necessary, I don't know, it's somewhere in this answer, that it needs to drive it into the cell. So you extract these compounds, but they can't enter the cell without the alcohol. So you need that alcohol to deliver it in. And it's been answered a few times. Here, the Goof Man was answering this one, but they're there. So if you do have questions, searching on KNF support, seeing what's up here, looks like I need to answer a few of these. Yeah. He's asking this, and I need to stay up on answering these things because folks do And been spending a lot of time on these office hours and posting them all here, and wanted to give a quick shout out, since I'm here, to Julia for doing this last month's table of contents, even though it's not up yet. I did have it. Let's see, it's somewhere here. I don't know. Anyway, I got a lot of cooks in the fire, or whatever you call it. Yeah, so anyway, and we're going through slowly putting the office hours table of contents in. Jennifer's been going backwards on these, and we even have September 26th done. So if you go look at that, it's like, oh, here's this great table of contents here. You know, how to ferment your animal feed for 24 hours from IMO 2 to 3 to 4. Orange spores in your mycelium, and how to grade your IMO 1. IMO collection. You know, a graph of the chart of how the temperature changes, all these great resources and more at knfsupport.org, sponsored by the Pure KNF Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit leading the charge for natural farming and bringing the answers to the people, helping this happen. But also, more importantly, brought to you like viewers like you and all of these wonderful people here. Encourage you to support if you can, kick down however, or better yet, go out there, do some natural farming, show your neighbors that you can make a living off this, show everyone that it's possible, that you know, good things happen and all that, and be the example, teach, spread this stuff, go around. Thanks Healing Earth Remediations for giving back for that Elaine video. I know it's a great one. And looks like there's a few more comments in here that I will get to hopefully next week. I cannot 100% promise you that I will be live and online next week, but I will try my best to be there, which will be the 12th of December. But if I am online, it's coming to you live from Maui, from the Hawaii Farmers Union United State Convention, which is an online event for people that are not here in Hawaii. I'm the East Hawaii president, so I have to go to it, and I love being there, and it's great people. But if you want to join in, you want to check that out, we got some great speakers, some great farm tours. It's hfuu.org, Hawaii Farmers Union United.org. And if you're going to join a chapter and you want to join in, join the East Hawaii chapter, because that helps me and my membership numbers. And when we go to lobby, because it's a political group, in front of the legislature, I can say it's me and 10,000 people, even though maybe it's not. I think right now we have about 1,300 members across the state. But it's a great organization. I'm part of it. And it's some of the best regenerative people. And I encouraged last time to check out their YouTube channel. And again, check out mine. And want to thank you guys for tuning in and let you get to your day. Have a great Sunday. Appreciate everyone who's here and what you do and all of that. So love you guys. It's the Korean sign for love, in case you didn't know. And thank you. And yeah. Hope to catch you next week. Long live the natural farmer.